Hey y'all, and welcome to another episode of OPG Pursuit Podcast. This is Chelsea, and I'm the admin assistant for the Fishers branch of Opportunities for Positive Growth. The purpose of this podcast is to give you, the listener, insight into OPG culture. Each episode, we're going to showcase a member of our OPG family and learn a little bit more about them. So I like to have people introduce themselves. So Sammy, go for it. Introduce yourself.
My name is Sammy Brooks, behavioral specialist here in Kokomo. From the South, born and raised in Mississippi. Just moved up here from Atlanta, Georgia. So if I don't enunciate or pronunciate words correctly, that's because I'm a Southern boy.
You lived in the South your whole life?
My whole life, yes. Last winter was my first winter in the North.
How was it?
It was awful. Before last winter, the coldest weather I ever been in was 24 degrees, and that was awful.
Mm-hmm.
In the South, once the temperature drops below 25 degrees, they close the schools.
Yep. They have any little snowflakes going
snowflakes,
down, everything's closed. Yeah.
So to see 17 degrees and snow and still have to go to work was a shocker.
I am from the South. I'm putting that in air quotes because I was born in Tallahassee, and all my family's from the South, Georgia and Florida. Valdosta, Georgia is like the main area, if you know that small little town.
Football city.
Yeah, it is definitely a football city. They are always just posting stuff about football. But yeah, it's a shock for them to come to the North because they're like, what is this? So what brought you to Indiana?
My wife, she is from Kokomo, and she went to college in Louisiana. We met in college at Nicholls State University, and we moved to Georgia, but her grandparents were getting older, and she kept mentioning that she wanted the opportunity to, she's an RN nurse, she wanted the opportunity to just help them and to be with them more. She has a really good relationship with them. She wanted our kids to be around them. And eventually, I just said, yeah, let's try it, because you've lived with me in Georgia for 14 years, we can at least come to Kokomo for 1 year. So.
And you've been here over a year now, right?
Yeah, I've been here over a year. Yeah.
So how are you acclimating? Are you liking it, or is it just really different?
It's different, but yeah, I like it. The people here are really friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I can get from one part of the town to the other part of the town like 2-3 minutes. In Atlanta, anything that's 45 minutes or an hour away with traffic is a good drive. So yeah, I'm home a lot more. It's been good for my family to see me more, because in Atlanta, I work, and even though I may be only 40 minutes away from home, it may take me 2 hours to get from home because of traffic. But so I get to spend a whole lot more quality time with my family.
That's cool. Yeah, and you really start to understand more about what you want out of your life when you do a big move. You might be like, I miss the hustle and bustle a little bit, but yeah, that quality time is really super imperative.
It's been amazing.
So what do you do for OPG?
I'm a behavioral specialist. As you know, I work with people with intellectual disabilities, and I just help them to modify their behavior. The behavior that's been identified that that they want to modify, or adjust.
Mm-hmm. And why did you decide to become a behavior support specialist? Do you always see this for yourself?
No, actually, I thought, I'm 40 now. I thought I probably would have been retired from the NFL for about 10 years now when I was younger. Mm-hmm. But when I was in college, I played football. I got hurt my junior year, and I couldn't play anymore. And I was able to work then, even though I was on full scholarship. And I was just looking for a job, and a friend of mine said, hey, the juvenile justice department's always hiring. And I ended up working there, and I loved it. It was a job to where I didn't hate going. I always loved to go to work. But I started working with, as you meet more and more kids, and you have kids who are able to interpret and able to just communicate with you like the way they view things. And I had a young man tell me once, he was like, we're forgotten. He was like, we were what society don't want. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. So to be able to have impact with people every day who did not think that nobody cared about them, that society wanted to throw them away, that was something that just gave me fulfillment, and I look forward to doing. And then it just rolled on when I moved to Georgia. I started working as a teacher at no, it's no longer a psychoeducational school, but at the time they were called psychoeducational schools.
Is that kind of like a charter school?
No, it's a school for kids with intellectual disabilities, autism, but they have also aggressive behaviors.
Okay.
These schools, psychoeducational schools, were sued in 2011 and are no longer in existence for a good reason. But working there, you see, the idea of what these kids were capable of. It, from teachers and parents, it was very heartbreaking. I've had a principal tell me once, said, "Mr. Brooks, you just keep them in their section of the school. We don't want to see them. We don't want to hear them. We don't care what you do. You don't have to do lesson plans. Just keep them under control." We were not allowed to go to any of the school functions, pep rallies, just anything.
Wow.
And that was heartbreaking. And it was a situation to where somebody had to give these kids a voice, because they didn't know. All they knew at the time was just isolation. They knew that they were shunned. They were not a part of the bigger picture, even though they knew they could see the bigger picture. We could look outside our class window and see when they were having field day and other kids were outside. But yet our field day was a week later, and it was just us 13. They had barbecues, they had floaties going on, and we could sit outside the window. But the next week when we were able to have our field day, it was just us, 13, kids with me and a paraprofessional.
And that's not helping anybody
No.
by keeping people ostracized from the larger group.
No. Yeah, and our kids, one of the things that I had to work on with the principal and the school is giving them an opportunity to be a part. That these kids are just like every other kid. They can do jobs. They should be a part of the school. Let them have a buy-in. Let them pass out flyers that need to be passed out. Let them, work in the office. Work in the school supply room. Just letting them to be a part, and that way it not only changed their perception, but also changed the school's perception of them.
Why do people need behavior support specialists like yourself?
As an advocate, and you have some people need help. Like I said, just through life, everybody has needed help. Especially myself, growing up, I've had people that just poured into my life. Being a kid from Mississippi, a poor kid from Mississippi, who stuttered, who did not, wasn't the greatest reader. I had teachers, parents, my friend parents, they poured into me. They poured life into me. That gave me confidence. That even though I wasn't the greatest reader, but I had confidence to where I could read. And I learned how to read. I wasn't the greatest person in math. I'm still awful at math.
Me too.
But
That's okay.
But I knew I had that support system. I knew I had that team to where I could turn to and say, "Hey, listen, I'm struggling with this. I need help." And I think as a behavior specialist, that's the role that I want to take in people's lives. Not as someone that come in and say, "Hey, you're not doing this. You're not doing this. You should be doing." Just someone that, hey, he's my team. If I'm having a problem, I can talk with him, and he's going to walk with me through it.
What are some methods and tools you utilize to provide support for people? Do you have like a go-to thing you do?
Well, yeah, it's easy. I have consistency. I'm there every week, and I have value. I value what they have to say, and I try to show them that I value them so they can value themselves. And once that happens, normally, once they realize that, hey, I value them, they're easier to open up and to allow me to assist them.
Right. So would that be like a tip you'd give to even parents, friends of people with disabilities, is just to be consistent and an advocate for people in their lives?
And listen to them. And let them know that they have value. Everyone needs to know that they have value in this world. And unfortunately, I meet a lot of young men that I work with that they feel like they have no value in this society, in this world. Like they've come from schools to where they were pushed in the back room, and they were not allowed to go to different functions and things like that. And that has taught them that they have no value. So my job is to break that down and to show them that, hey, you do have value. You do have a voice. If you don't like something, you need to speak. You can speak up. You have that right. And I'll speak up with you. You have people behind you.
Mm-hmm. Can you give me an example of how your work as a BSS has helped an individual live a better life?
I had one young man that I was working with, and he was in Peru schools, and they have a pathway program which helped them to determine what they want to do for a living, and determine what curriculums what classes they will take to help them graduate. And he was taking a cooking pathway, and fortunately I got to work with him that summer leading up to the school. So, seeing him twice a week and really getting to know him and listening to him and hearing him. Well, when we were in his IEP meeting and they were talking about the cooking pathway, it clicked and I was like, I have not heard him mention one thing about cooking. I've been working with him for 3 months, consistently every week, and that has not once came up as one of his passions.
Was it something that they put in place as a passion for him, but something he didn't necessarily have a passion for?
So he felt like it was easier for him to sit back and allow them to put something in place for him, because it means that they will work with him now. Mm-hmm. It would be easier for them to work with him because he's doing something that they already know about and that they want to do. Well, he wanted to do machinery. He wanted to work at a company called Snavely mm-hmm. in Peru. But he already knew that his mother and his teachers felt like because of his disability, he would not be allowed to work there, which was crazy. So that was one of the things that we brought up, and I was like, hey, this is not one thing that he's talking about. And his teacher said, well, he think he can work in the industrial industry. And I was like, what's stopping him? And they gave all these reasons. But my thing was, I'm like, but that's our job to put things in place for him to be successful. That's what mm-hmm. the IEP is for. Mm-hmm. And he graduated, and he works full time at Suzuki in Lafayette.
All right. Yeah, so it's just actually asking them what they want to do with their lives.
Yes, having a voice. So I was able to give him a voice, because once he realized that, hey, I have somebody on my side, he was able to say, no, I want to work at Snavely.
Wow. So I wonder if that's just the cooking thing, if that's something that a lot of people are just thrown into.
They felt like it would be the easiest route for him to graduate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they were trying to do, make it easier for him to graduate, and instead of giving him, their intentions were good.
Right.
But I think he was willing to struggle to get to a destination that he wanted to be, then take the easier route and be somewhere that he didn't want to be.
So what hard work did he have to do to get to Suzuki? Did he have to do any extra?
Well, he's not a talk. Well, he takes a while to communicate, to talk to you. So you have to build a relationship with him. So one of the things was that he had to first. I had to teach him how to interview and how to communicate with people that he just now are meeting. But he took an internship working at a factory in Peru that they thought that he couldn't do. He did very successful. So he had to have someone there with him, though, just telling him, hey, this is what you need to do, and reminding him, which there was something at the time that he had a hard time with people being there telling him, because he's already known that he's undervalued, and he don't want to feel like, hey, he's not able to do the job. But we were able to get someone there. Like I said, I'm pronouncing the company name wrong. I think it's Snavely.
Okay.
But the people there did an awesome job with him. They wrote him a list of things that he needs to do, step to complete his job. And then they would give it to him, go over it with him, and they would leave. But that made him very successful. Now, when he was able to get a job at Suzuki, but he was able to get a job there, and he took the same things that we put in place at his internship, and he asked them, can I use this here? And they said yes, and he did that on his own because he found his voice. He knew that he could be a valuable member of any company that he worked for. Mm-hmm. So, and they were able to put that in place for him, and he's been there since last December.
What do you love most about your job?
It's different every day. I love the fact that, I wake up in the morning time, I get to go to work, and I love the fact of being able to impact people's lives. Like I said before, I had so many people growing up that impacted my life in a positive way. And, you know, it's awesome to be able to do that for other people. Because I want to feel like that, hey, these people, the people that invested in me, their investment was not for no reason. You know, they didn't take time with me. My teachers didn't take time with me to help me read extra for no reason. You know, there's something that came from it. And now I'm being able to give the gift that they gave me to other people.
That's awesome. So who are some of your role models? Because you mentioned some people.
Well, one thing that I found is that mentors. So whenever I would start a job, I would look at the person and I would say, okay, I want to be like him. So I would go up to him, hey, and I would connect myself with him. And one of my mentors, Mr. Chris Young, he just passed away last year from cancer. But he was one of the best mentors that I could ever have, because he would hold me accountable for everything that I would say and everything that I would do. And it was a passion of his to help me to be a better man and to be able to work, to be able to serve the people that I work with better. And to have, he was one of the people that taught me compassion. You know, that not to just look at a person's situation and detach yourself from them. Well, if we're all connected, then, you know, I have a young man who is in jail at 14 and he's hurting and he has all these things that's going on. Well, if I have the opportunity to affect him in a positive way, I should take it. Because if I don't, this young man eventually will go back in my community and he will produce the type of behavior in my community that I don't want. So yeah, Mr. Chris Young, I would have to say, had the most positive effect on me.
Awesome. Yeah, it's always great to have somebody in your corner. So that's great too that you're in a bunch of people's corners, doing the good work for them. So something we do at OPG a lot is talk about our dreams.
Okay.
So what's a dream right now that you have? Big, small, personal, professional?
I think a dream of mine has been eventually to go back to the field of where I work with kids that are incarcerated, eventually, you know, and do a program with them, with being able to give them their value, let them show them their value, let them show that there's somebody there.
What is something you think everyone should do at least once in their lives?
Visit another culture in another country.
Have you been to another country or?
My wife and I, we got married on the beach, and we got married on Tamarindo Beach in Costa Rica, and then we spent the next 11 days there. But we didn't go stay in a hotel, we stayed in hostels. So we actually went to different cities, Arenal, Alajuela, San Jose, and we actually stayed like with the locals in the, which was awesome.
Is there anything interesting that you learned from the locals?
The giving. It was like that everybody there like would give. Like we were invited to someone's house, and they were like 5 or 6 different families would get together, and you know they were I would say barbecue outside, and it was just like the community got together. It was a very close community.
Do you have a community that you've experienced in America like that?
My being a soccer dad, all of my kids are in soccer. I would say yes, and I've experienced that a lot up here too. That when you with a group of people all the time, every weekend, we normally bond, and you have that similar community.
What's one of your favorite memories?
I would say when my oldest daughter was born. Yeah, that was a good memory. Good, scary memory. It was.
How many kids do you have?
I have 5.
You have 5 kids.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So the first one was a good memory. The other 4, that's
Are they a blur?
Yeah, that's a blur. That's a nightmare. But yeah, no, that was a great memory.
So your first daughter was born. What happened? Obviously, is there a story behind it? I guess.
Actually, I was working at a children's home at their diagnostic and assessment center, Georgia Baptist Children's Home, and I was in a training, and we couldn't have our phones on, even though and my wife, she was late, and I was just sitting there and doing the training, and the secretary runs downstairs and says, "Sammy, your wife's in labor." Well, I had to I jumped up and I flipped the table over and I ran out back and I ran to my car and I left my car keys in the in the trainer, so I had to run back and get it. And as I was driving to get her, I was like, man, I need to pray. So I closed my eyes to pray, and then while I was driving, it was a fun experience. But the love, even though we were in Georgia, we didn't have family in Georgia. We were just there. I mean, we had people that were sending us cards from Mississippi, Louisiana, people that were coming from Boston to see us, and it was an amazing experience.
What was your reaction the first time you saw your daughter for the first time?
I was like, man, I got to keep her alive for how long? How am I gonna keep her alive? It was amazing. It's a different type of love that just pours in your heart, when you have a child.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard it just sort of, it's an instantaneous sort of experience that you have with a person that you've known for
couple
9 months, quote unquote. But yeah, that's amazing. What gives your life meaning?
I think for me, what gives my life meaning, man, I would say it's my relationship with Jesus Christ. And it's just being connected with the people that I will serve, the people I work with, my community, my family. Mm-hmm. It's just identifying that there's something bigger than me, and that's okay. And it's okay to want to give and serve. I look forward to that every day. Have you been a religious man all your life, or is this something that's deepened as you've gotten older? And growing up in the South, the Bible Belt, I mean, you're either it's first beaten into you, and then normally it's beaten into you. Then when you get freedom away, you run from it. When you have time to think about all your existence and everything. When you get into college and you're like, oh my gosh, all these new ideas are flowing towards me. Yeah, and it's just you having your own personal experience, like say having a child, because I've had opportunities to where, you being in communities. I remember one time in New Orleans, I worked with a young man that we helped start a program where guys that were in prison, because they call it prison there. They don't call it, because these guys they have juvie and then they have juvenile prison, because these guys have committed murders, they've sold drugs. But this young man, he got out and we were providing support for him at home. And he was in the methamphetamine projects in New Orleans, which one of the worst. But I just so happened to be there while pulling in as he got shot on his grandmother's steps. And you were a witness to it? Well, as I got there, it had already happened, but he was on his grandmother's steps dying. And I went up there, took my shirt off, and tried to plug his heart, because it's not like on TV. Getting shot on TV is completely different than getting shot in real life. It was horrible. It was scarred me for life. But it's just one of those experiences where this young man, he was dying and he was begging, Mr. Brooks, please, I don't want to die. It was like, man, it helped me realize later that life is valuable. What you do every day is valuable. How you treat people every day is valuable. And how you spread your faith with love. And that's one thing that I've learned, it's a whole lot easier to love people than anything else, because it makes me happy. If me loving you makes you mad, then okay, but it makes me happy. It's a whole lot easier to love people. No, I totally agree. Were you with him? Yeah, actually, that was one of the things, and I use his story as I work with different people. Hey, this is real. These things can happen, but no, he didn't. I'm sorry to hear that, but at least he was surrounded. He wasn't alone. Yeah. What's your first thought when you wake up? Other than going through the schedule of what my kids or my kids up, my first thought is just gratefulness. I know that may be cliche, but I'm always happy. If you meet me, talk to me, I'm always a happy person. It's just, hey, I'm just happy for another day. Because I've seen, as a lot of people can say, I'm 40 years old. I've had 6 friends that didn't make it out of their 20s. Just thankful. Mm-hmm. Have you
always been a positive person, or did it take time to get there?
No, I've always, even though, like I said, I'm a poor kid from Mississippi, my childhood was great. I've had nothing but people growing up that always spoke inspirational things to me. Teachers always believed in me. Like, you believe me? I got F's and D's on my report card. Have you seen my report card? But you believe that I can be something greater. Those things, when you accept people, it's easier to believe a lie. So a lot of people believe that, when somebody say you're stupid, you're dumb, you're not gonna mouth that, they believe that. Well, I've had people say that, but I chose to believe the people that say, hey, Sammy, you're amazing. You can impact people's lives. You can be something special. So I chose to believe that. And I guess that may come with more of just my brain wired to be more positive. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that a lot of kids, especially in school settings, they do equate their worth to their report card, right? Or their academic successes or what they're doing at the moment. But yeah, it's really taking the time to find what you're passionate about, what you feel good doing, and then just building upon that.
Yeah. I mean, kids, fortunately, the clothes you wear, the shoes. At my age, Michael Jordan shoes were most popular. So if you didn't have Michael Jordan shoes on, no girl was going to date you or nothing. Well, I wore ponies, which was one of my favorite shoes. Actually, I was looking for a pair about 2 years ago. But being able to go past that these things do not give me value. The clothes I wear, because we've all known the prettiest people drive the nicest cars from the richest families, and they're miserable and they hate themselves. It's all about, if you know your true value and your self-worth, where that comes from, where you get that from.
Oh yeah, there are tons of people that have the perfect job or have the perfect quote like family, but they're not happy. They're always seeking something more. So yeah, it's just going down to the bare bones of what you want as a person, and it's great that you have positivity on your side because it's very helpful in this world. What do you love most about yourself?
Other than being positive, just I'm always happy. I mean, because I'm always happy does not mean that bad things don't happen to me. Right. Like right now, I just came from physical therapy. My rotator cuff is torn, and I haven't been able to work out in 4 months. And it's gonna be a year before I can be able to work out again like I used to. But that's okay.
It's just all leg day.
Yeah,
and cardio.
Yeah, but it's okay because it's how you look at it, and I like the fact that I'm blessed with 5 kids, wonderful kids. I'm blessed with a wife that loves to homeschool these 5 kids and put up with me. My mother got to see me graduate college. There's so many things that I'm blessed with, and when bad things do come, I greet it with happiness. You won't be here for long. It's only temporary. One thing that Mr. Chris taught me was, don't ever treat a temporary problem like it's going to be forever. I treat it as what it is. It's only temporary. If today I'm not having a good day, that's fine. I had great days. Today's a bad day, but it's not going to last.
Right. Well, cool, Sammy. That's all I got for you.
All right.
Thank you so much for taking your time, and I hope we can talk again soon.
Yeah, I like to thank Leslie for signing me up.
Yeah. Thanks, Leslie.